Welcome to the Connect with BMC Helix ITSM and Remedy webinar. During today's session, you'll be able to ask questions of our panelists. The questions and answers, along with the webinar recording, will be published to our YouTube channel a week from today's broadcast. Today's topic is 2102, pre-release briefing on the upcoming enhancements. I'll turn it over to Peter Adams to start us through this content. Over to you, Peter.
Thanks, Greg. And welcome, everybody. I'm Peter Adams, Senior Director of Product Management, responsible at BMC for our enterprise ITSM offerings. It's great to have everybody here. Thanks for joining this webinar, and welcome back for those who have attended previous webinars around our releases. I'm joined today by my colleague Robin Ashford, who had recently joined us from our Stone acquisitions. And we wanted to talk today a little bit about the innovations that are upcoming in this next release cycles. It's a bit unusual that we do this before the actual release, but based on some recent developments, we wanted to make sure that you're aware of what is coming and how we plan to roll this out. Usually we do this release webinar about a month after we go GA with the release. But again, based on some recent developments, we want to make sure that you are up to date about what's coming with this release. So you can see here the agenda. In general, we want to talk about the significant innovations that are coming in the service and operations management space with this release cycle. And also what innovation is coming specifically around the deployment mechanism. There's some key changes coming in this release. And again, want to touch a little bit on the release timeline before we end up with additional information. So let's dive into the details here. Okay, one housekeeping items before we get started. This is, of course, looking at future information. That's why the standard roadmap disclaimer applies here. Now, as I mentioned, in this upcoming release cycle, there's a lot of innovation coming that supports our AI service management strategy. What we're doing here is really focusing on not only supporting the traditional ITSM processes that we've always done for more than 15, 20 years, but more and more also to help companies transition towards intelligent, agile, and highly automated ITSM processes so that they can really support their organizations towards a faster degree of innovation and digital transformation success. This is extremely important, and BMC is the only vendor who can really help companies manage both the traditional ITSM practices as well as these modern, more DevOps and Agile aligned practices. Of course, we continue to focus a lot on digital workplace as well, but most of the presentation today focuses on the AI service management part and what is coming in this area. Now, as the picture says, this is all based on a unified open platform that we continue to optimize, and there's some key changes coming here at the platform level as well that we want to share. And all of that, of course, is based to support the key technology tenants that are part of BMC's autonomous digital enterprise vision. Now, we won't go into all details in this webinar, but we do want to give you an overview of these upcoming enhancements and innovations that are coming in this release cycle. Let's start out with our continued investment in cognitive capabilities. And what we're doing here is, after we've invested quite a bit into machine learning capabilities, chatbot, is to focus a bit more on clustering technologies and NLP, which helps our customers understand better similarity between different sets of incidents, even if they are registered with free text, with different summary, different descriptions. And we have two key use cases that we're tackling in this release cycles where we deliver value to our customer base. One is around proactive problem management, where we basically look at a larger set of incident data, and we are identifying clusters and help problem coordinators understand which of these clusters are most important, because for many companies, there's only so many problem investigations they can conduct. It's a fairly expensive process. And we want to make sure that these organizations can focus on the most valuable clusters. So we help them by displaying which of the clusters of related incidents are the biggest, where's most time spent. You can analyze the data from multiple aspects. There's a lot of value in there, and it's fully integrated into the entire ITSM process. You can, for example, easily then take a cluster that you've identified and move that into the problem investigation process. Now, the counterpart of that functionality, where we also use clustering, but which is for a different persona and a different use case, is our real-time incident correlation capabilities. Here, we're not looking at historic incidents over a period of a month or 3 months or 6 months, but we rather look at the inflow of incidents into the service desk. And we are identifying which of these incidents are really about the same situation, which are related. That gives a service desk manager or a major incident manager that is on call a full and early understanding which situations are emerging in the IT environment. And so you can see, what clusters of incidents are forming. You even have insight into how they're forming over time. And you can, of course, like in the proactive problem management area, investigate what's going on. You can look into details. You can look at the data from multiple perspectives. And then, similar as with the proactive problem management, take action. The third area around cognitive capabilities is our new AIOps capability that helps you understand the probable root cause if something is happening. Imagine you've identified an emerging situation. Turns out that there is some outage in the environment. Of course, you do not only want to understand it or identify it early, but you also want to understand what may have been the cause so that you can resolve the situation as quickly as possible. And here, based on an interpretation of data from the ITSM side, but as well as operations data, such as events, as well as our new dynamic service modeling capability, the system is able to make predictions about what are probable causes, something that's extremely helpful for incident managers to understand then what's going on and what needs to be addressed in the environment to fix the incident. So you can see key enhancements that make use of AI technology to further optimize the activity in the service desk, whether it's about long-term analysis of incidents that support the problem management process, whether it's about real-time identification and resolution of incidents, both we are improving with our upcoming release. Now, the second aspect of our AI service management strategy, as I stated, is to enable companies to be more agile and automated in their activities. We do want to help companies innovate faster. And as part of that, sometimes you have to transition away from the traditional ITSM processes, for example, to use CAP meetings for the majority of change requests. And one of the exciting capabilities that we can offer now here, together with a partner, Digital.ai, is our new capability around change risk prediction that is based on an extremely sophisticated analysis of data from various sources, not just ITSM, but also from development system, corporate systems, etc. And it allows you to really make good predictions about what is the actual risk of an upcoming change. For example, if teams have an excellent track record about rolling out changes as part of their DevOps pipeline, you do want to enable them to take advantage of the full automation. and let these changes go through, right? Whereas other teams that have had challenges around availability of their solution may have to go through a more stringent change review process. So again, the goal of this component here is ultimately to enable companies to innovate faster by making smarter decisions which of the changes can go through automatically and which have to be reviewed. On a similar note, we're also working around an offering to visualize activity in a way that is more aligned around Agile and DevOps through our new Agile boards that we offer, again, together with a partner around our solutions. Now, it is not only these additional capabilities that we offer, but as many of you know, we're also transitioning the core ITSM user experience that so far was covered by SmartRT towards a more flexible implementation using Progressive Web App to represent key screens and interactions that users perform, whether it's for incidents, work orders, change requests, etc. Now, this transition has already started, as many of you know. The first release of this capability was in 2008, and with this upcoming release cycle, we continue to make progress in this area. Some of you may have participated or are participating in the current beta program that is going on. This is a key enhancements that will help you tailor this ITSM UI more flexibly, to extend it more flexibly, and also to use it more flexibly on mobile devices, because these are all fully responsive screens. Now again, in this initial release of the 2102 release cycle, we are not completely done with it, but expect to finish this activity somewhere in the summer timeframe 2021. So we're very excited that we make good progress in that area and are soon ready to deliver the full SmartRT experience based on this new capability. Another key innovation that we'll deliver as part of this release cycle is an integration of our service management solution in the new BMC Helix dashboard. Also here, the first release of this dashboard capability was already done as part of 2008 release cycle, but so far it included only data from our operation solutions, BMC Helix operations management, for example. With this upcoming release cycle, we are now also able to pull data from the various service management products, whether it's core ITSM, digital workplace, business workflows, chatbot. So it can really build dashboards that span across different solutions, both in the operations as well as service management area. This is based on state-of-the-art dashboarding technology from Grafana. And again, in this upcoming release cycle, we'll cover the range of service management products. Now, last but not least, I stated that there's quite some excitement, innovation coming also in the BMC Helix platform. We're making a key change here around our platform strategy that so far had been based on AR System on the one hand, as well as our innovation suite platform that we offered in the SaaS deployment model. With this upcoming release cycle, we are converging these two capabilities, these two platforms into a single one, which allows us and allows you to run all the service management applications on a single platform, which of course simplifies the entire on-premises deployment model quite a bit, as you can run all the products on a single instance and don't have to set up multiple servers anymore. This also means that if you have licensed, for example, AR System today, then in future you'll be able to leverage the capabilities of Innovation Suite, such as the visual process editor that you can see here on the right side. And you can use those capabilities to build, for example, custom apps or extensions of the ITSM solution. Last but not least, it also allows us to offer new on-premise offerings such as business workflows, which so far has only been available in SaaS. Now, let me be clear. From a BMC point of view, we strongly feel that the majority of customers will get the biggest value out of a SaaS deployment model. Financially, in terms of customer experience, but in terms, most importantly, also in terms of giving your teams the capacity to really focus on innovation rather than the mundane task of running a server and upgrading it and patching it, etc. So again, we believe that the majority of customers will benefit from a SaaS deployment model. Still, those who cannot at this point in time move towards a SaaS model, we want to make sure that you have a great, simplified experience managing the environment, as well as have all the capabilities available. And it shows our commitment to our on-premises customers. Now with that, I'd like to hand over to Robin, and who will explain some more innovation, exciting innovation, about the way how we deploy our software in the future. Robin, take it away.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, I'm Robin Ashford, Senior Director of Product Management at BMC. There are lots of very exciting changes which we're introducing in the 2102 release. I'd like to talk about our architecture strategy and what this means for you. BMC understands that the customer landscape is changing. Our solutions are already deployed in so many different contexts. BMC Helix Cloud, on-premises, private clouds, public clouds, you name it, you'll find BMC software there. We want to ensure we're providing the same excellent software and capabilities across all of these platforms. Containerization is a technology that we believe is the architectural foundation which allows us to deliver that unified software architecture across all of these domains. Containerization is not new by any means, but it's clear it's an idea whose time has come. By the end of next year, more than 3/4 of global organizations are expecting to be running containerized applications in production. More astonishing is the growth rate. In 2020, the number of organizations with more than half their applications deployed in containers grew by nearly 30%. BMC believes that containerization is destined to be the industry standard for application deployment, which is why we've been running ITSM in our Helix Cloud on containers for the last 2 years. We've been refining and improving our containerization technology, and we now believe that the benefits are so compelling, we simply have to make this available for all our customers. In 2021, we will be releasing our converged Remedy platform exclusively using containers, giving us a single unified architecture with huge benefits for our customers and partners. Why are we making this change? What's so great about containers? Well, first of all, when we deploy with containers, we can deploy the exact same software across BMC Helix Cloud, on-premises, private cloud, public cloud. All of them will be harmonized on this great technology. So deploying a container-based architecture is much, much easier, faster and less hassle. The whole architecture literally comes out of the box pre-configured and ready to go. We'll look at comparison a little later to show just how much easier it's going to be to build an ITSM infrastructure. Responding to changing demands is incredibly simple with a containerized architecture. You can horizontally scale by adding more containers or vertically scale by adding more memory almost instantly. Containers are inherently resilient, providing high availability and failover as standard. One of the reasons containers are getting so much more traction than VMs is they're much more efficient, super fast to build and deploy, and importantly occupy less memory and less disk than a VM providing the same service. Top-tier security is an absolutely essential feature of our BMC Helix Cloud. We've architected our containerized deployment so that you can count on robust, industry-leading security wherever you deploy our software. Finally, and most excitingly, this new architecture means we can now deliver the innovation that you need much more quickly, wherever you deploy our software. The technology will allow us to deliver more frequent feature releases and typically upgrade with zero downtime. There are lots of other advantages of containers, but too many to get into on this session. We know that some of our customers have been using containers for a while and have been calling out for this change, whereas others will be completely new to containers, and this is going to be a big change. Whichever camp you're in, we at BMC are here to help you in this journey. We can help you move seamlessly to BMC Helix, to a private or public cloud solution, or to upgrade to this new architectural model on premises. So if you're an on-premises customer, what's the upgrade going to look like? In many ways, this is going to be the easiest, best supported upgrade you've ever done. The entire architecture is deployed across your host systems in a single operation and comes out of the box pre-configured, ready to use. Because you'll be deploying a completely new architecture, we recommend using the parallel system or staged upgrade method, where you create a new infrastructure which you test and validate before you cut over to it. We'll be providing a range of tools to support the upgrade, including the newly acquired Alderstone CMT technology, which will be used to migrate and transform your existing data into the new converged ITSM database, with extremely fast Delta data migration for the minimum cutover duration. I'd now like to compare the deployment of a server-based architecture with a new container-based architecture to give you some insight into the benefits. This is a slightly simplified architecture diagram for the purpose of this presentation. So when we're deploying a VM architecture, we'd start by deploying the physical host machines and then configuring the VM controls, and then someone will typically deploy the VMs into the hosts. In this case, we've got 12 VMs that we're deploying. Our network guys would create the external and internal load balancers to distribute traffic, and it's usually at this point that the work of the remedy team begins. I've done this myself. I know it can be a long process. We install ARS across each one of the ARS machines, then mid-tier across the web servers, then all of the other ITSM applications, then DWP, SmartRT, DWP catalog, and we get databases created for each one of those applications. Although there's only 10 steps on our deployment checklist, we had to repeat the same process manually multiple times, with potentially errors being introduced at each step. So usually along the way we have to wrestle with the integration between the components, checking we've entered passwords and integration usernames, and verifying each component. Let's compare that old method with a new containerized deployment. First, we deploy the host machines and configure Kubernetes to control them. The network team have to configure external load balancers, but they typically won't need to configure internal load balancers because that's taken care of by BMC's deployment. Running the BMC deployment scripts will automatically deploy all of the containers, which are pre-configured with mid-tier or ARS and all the ITSM applications, or whatever the function of that container needs to be within the infrastructure. And all of these components will talk to each other automatically using internal load balancers that balance load, give us high availability. The whole process from start to finish is very, very automatic compared to the manual experience of installing each and every server individually. You'll notice here too that the new 2102 release, we only have one ARS and a smart reporting database, because the DWP, DWP catalog and SmartRT databases are all consolidated, reducing complexity and the footprint of the application. This is so much more powerful compared to how we used to have to deploy architecture, and this is just one of the benefits that containers give us. I think this is a genuinely exciting change and orders of magnitude better than what we have now. One of the other benefits of the new containerized architecture is we can easily add new features. One of the features we're introducing right from the outset is self-observability. Essentially, this is a suite of monitoring tools which allow you to see the health and performance of your architecture, allowing you to proactively tackle issues and even scale to improve performance. So let's summarize what this means for the existing infrastructure. All of the components currently sitting on servers will all be moved to containers as part of 2102. ARS, ITSM, mid-tier servers, all of those components are now going to be deployed purely through containers. All of the client tools will continue to be deployed in exactly the same way they are now. You'll install them on your desktop and you'll be able to connect to the AR servers. That includes BMC Developer Studio, Data Import Tool, Migrator, the command line tools, and even third-party applications will all continue working as they do right now. Most importantly, the effort that you've invested in customizing and adapting your AR platform are unaffected by this release. So custom ARS applications, overlays to ITSM, all of those things will continue to work just as they do right now. Integrations via web services, REST API, even the Remedy API will all continue to work. Containers will mean some changes to the way things work right now. So things like logging, AI jobs which access the file system, and API plugins will all need to be adapted because the file system is much more controlled when deploying containers. And finally, all of BMC's containers are Linux-based, therefore any server-side Windows executables may need to be adapted. So that's all for today's overview on containers. Before we wrap up, I'd like to show you one slide summarizing our planned software compatibility. If you're new to containers, don't worry, this won't be much, but it's much easier than you think to get up to speed. For those who are already using containers, this is going to be important information. Please note that the support matrix may change, and we're certainly open to hearing your requirements. I won't read the whole slide, but I will call out the critical items here. So we're going to support Kubernetes 1.18 as our base container orchestration technology, and we plan to support the majority of public cloud containerization management solutions, which aligns with that base Kubernetes 1.18. So AWS, Azure, Kubernetes, Google platforms. You should also be able to use OpenShift, and we're targeting release 4.5.7. Very importantly, BMC's containers will require an underlying Linux operating system. We won't support Windows containers or hosts. We plan to formally support CentOS, Red Hat, and CoreOS. Finally, BMC will be hosting its container images on a Docker trusted repository available over the internet at containers.bmc.com. When running the container deployment, you'll either need a direct connection to that repository or a local Harbor repository 1.18 holding the BMC container images. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been great to share this exciting change with everyone. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. Myself and the BMC team are here to support you. Back to you, Peter.
Thanks, Robin. So as you could hear over the past 25, 30 minutes or so, there's quite some exciting innovation coming, both at the functional capabilities level as well as the way how we deploy our software on-premise. We're super excited from a product team perspective to deliver you all this innovation in this upcoming cycle. But we also thought quite a bit how we can make sure that we can optimize the customer experience and the success that you'll have as we roll out this capability and as you adopt it on your side. And because of that, we decided recently that we're moving towards a phased rollout approach for this release, which means that once we release the first version of this release cycle, we'll focus mostly on collaboration with a handful of early adopter customers. Initially, this will be SaaS customers. And then over time, we expand the set of customers that we work with to make sure that later on, when we release this to a wider audience, that we can share experiences and best practices with the entire customer base. We expect that this entire rollout, this phasing, will roughly take 3 months so that all on-premises customers will have access to the release roughly in the summer timeframe. This, of course, depends again on the specific experiences that our customers make. Now, the good thing is, as stated at the very beginning, once we get to this summer timeframe, this release that we'll make fully available and distributing it to all customers would have the full progressive web UI capabilities included, so that you can transition fully from the existing SmartRT technology to the new progressive web UI. But again, it does mean that most on-premises customers will only have the release available in the summer timeframe. Now, the second benefit, again, aside from ensuring that we have the capacity to work with these early adopters and share best practices, is also that we can use the timeline for more communication and enablement about this key change in the way how we deploy software on premise. We know this container-based deployment is new, and there's lots to share about this. So we'll use the time also to educate you more on how to exactly handle this transition from today's approach to this new container approach. Again, we do this to ensure that you as customers have the best experience, and we feel like this phased rollout will help us achieve that. Now, as stated, this is of course quite a bit of change in the way how to deploy software. And as I stated, we plan to offer lots of help around this. During this phased rollout period, we expect to deliver corresponding documentation, put articles in our knowledge base, share quite a bit in the BMC community. We expect to run additional webinars as part of this Connect with BMC Helix /Remedy webinar series. And there's other offerings that you can make use of as part of your standard support agreement, such as the Amigo program or standard technical support. We're also looking at offering corresponding services that are fee-based as part of our BMC services organization. Whether it's an accelerated SaaS migration in case you decide you don't want to make that switch over to on-premises container. We will, of course, be happy to work with you on an accelerated SaaS transition, which BMC can offer at an extremely fast and attractive price point. But we also have offerings when it comes to educating your team with trainings, or whether it's about planning and conducting this transition itself, including managing such a containerized environment on a more ongoing basis. Again, these are fee-based services that BMC is happy to discuss with you. Now let's summarize here. Again, this upcoming 2102 release cycle is an extremely exciting one for BMC and hopefully for you as well. This release cycle continues to deliver on our strategy that we want to help companies move from the traditional manual ITSM processes towards a highly automated, agile, data-driven processes that take advantage of the latest and greatest technology. And BMC, again, is the only vendor out there who's allowing you to do both, running these processes in the traditional way, but also prototyping some of these new processes like swarming, risk prediction, etc., in an agile way with specific teams. All of that, of course, is to help you achieve business operational excellence, to deliver the right services in the right way to your businesses so that they can innovate at an extremely fast rate and be competitive in the market. With that, I'd like to thank you for your interest. Again, we are super excited about this upcoming release cycle. We continue to deliver lots more details about this upcoming switch toward container-based deployment in the next weeks and months. And we're looking forward to collaborating with you to making this transition to a more automated and intelligent service management solution. Thank you. Over to you, Greg.
Thank you. And now I'll take us through the self-help in contacting BMC. The YouTube channel where this webinar will be posted is listed here. It contains past webinars as well as a rich set of how-to videos. The Connect with BMC Helix ITSM and Remedy webinar schedule is available at this community's link. And the hot off the press newsletter for trending information is available at this community's post. As always, contacting technical support via web, phone, email, and these social channels is available. At this time, that will conclude this webinar. Thank you for attending.